What's good, B-Sounds? It's your boy, Kick and Raid. Let's get together as a group and acknowledge the fact that I am absolutely unqualified to give you any sort of advice on the subject of injuries. I'm just a guy who's experienced some injuries, is currently experiencing an injury, and has spent way too much time reading, watching, and listening to people who are qualified to give this sort of advice. So at best, I'm a conduit, and at worst, I'm an idiot. So ignore me, or don't, whatever. The fact of the matter is, if you are partaking in any sort of training, any sort of sport, and you keep it up for any length of time, the chances of you getting injured at some point are high. But equally, if you sit on a couch for any length of time, the chances of you ending up depressed and or dead are 100%, 100%. So don't let injury put you off. The mental and physical health benefits of being some sort of active are myriad, and basically, if you don't move, you'll lose the ability to move, and then you will die a feeble and pooey death. Sadly, I have seen quite a few people give up on training due to them misunderstanding pain or managing injury badly. I'm recently injured, so I thought we'd have a chat about it, and perhaps together we can avoid some of those pitfalls. The first and most important thing to understand is that pain doesn't equal injury, and injury doesn't equal pain. Yeah, great. So basically, you could be totally fine and experience pain, or you could be totally fucked and not experience pain. I have a problem with my right shoulder. I have a winging scapula. I've had it as long as I can remember. It's not stable. There used to be a very crunchy noise coming from it, like a ratchet. It's weak, it's bust up. I have rarely ever experienced any pain. I went to a physio for a long time, did all the silly band exercises, nothing changed. I implemented a general strength training routine, much less crunch, much more stable. It never bothers me. I'm just not particularly symmetrical, but I'd still pull your mum. Equally, one of my guys was complaining about a pain in his leg, and I could see it affecting his confidence, making him train differently. I was like, dude, there could be a problem, but also pain doesn't equal injury, and injury doesn't equal pain. He was like, oh, well, I might have to carry on. So he kept training, he got stronger, no more pain, everything was fine. Pain is not actually a useful indicator of anything. It's your brain trying to get you to protect an area, but whether that's the right thing to do, I mean, you don't know, so why would it? Because it's you. Pain is just a signal, it's just a flare, but it doesn't know if that flare means, come here, we found food, or stay away, we found bears. It's a universal signal that we interpret as lay off the area, and sometimes that's the best thing to do, but more often than not, it's not. For example, my nan broke her shoulder a few years back. It was horrific. And the physiotherapist that she saw gave her some exercises to do, and she was told these exercises should be done up to an 8 out of 10 in pain. 8 out of 10. So 0 is sit on the toilet. And 10 is the worst pain that you can imagine. 10 is having your skin peeled off with a rusty, dull trowel being rolled in salt, dipped in vinegar, and then eaten alive by lonely pharmacists with bad breath. 8 out of 10 is just slightly less painful than that. So she did the thing, it was unpleasant, but now she has a pain-free shoulder with full strength and range of motion. She's tough, my nan. She's real tough. She's the best. But if she hadn't have done those things, the bone may or may not have set right. She would not have as much strength and would probably have some scar tissue or knots or tightness, giving her limited range of motion and probably pain. In fact, the doctor who saw her originally said, your shoulder will never be the same again. Physician of the year, ladies and gentlemen. And my mum said, you don't know my mum. And that guy was wrong and my mum was right. My mum's also the best. Anyway, let's move on. It's not important, but she is. I'm not suggesting that you work through any sort of serious pain like that, especially without getting it checked out. I'm just demonstrating an example where it was necessary to fully recover from an injury. So what do I see? Knees, backs, shoulders. People experience an acute injury, like they roll something, or start getting bothered by a chronic pain, and they interpret that pain as a sign that they should back off. So they're training, getting stronger, they get injured, they stop training. What happens? You get weaker. My shoulder was crappy, got stronger, less crappy. If I stop training it and it gets weaker, more crappy. Not training is not the answer. Whatever your injury is, you need to find a way to continue the bulk of your training around it, as in, don't quit everything because you're struggling with one thing. It is easier, much easier to stay fit than get fit again after your time off. And you can stay fit because you're already in a groove, but you might not get fit again, and that would suck. And you need to find a way to train around your injury if it's acute, or to train whatever weakness is causing your chronic pain, because 9 times out of 10, your chronic pain is caused by an imbalance or a flexibility problem. So tight this, weak that, this doesn't fire, so that's taken over. Whatever you do, the thing that you shouldn't do is panic. Don't panic. If you cut yourself, you don't suddenly think, oh no, there's a hole in me forever. You know that given the right environment, it will heal. And basically that's true with the rest of your body. If you've damaged yourself and you give it the right environment, it will heal, it'll close up, everything will be fine. So 1, don't panic. Second step is to figure out what's actually wrong. If you have the means to see a good doctor or a good physiotherapist, that is great. My personal experience with doctors and sports injuries is that rather than investigating the problem, they will give you anti-inflammatories and tell you to rest. And again, I don't think that's generally good advice. Maybe it's a UK thing. Physiotherapy-wise, you can become a physiotherapist online. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying you need to find a good one. Whether you're going to see a medical professional or not, you're going to need to assess yourself beforehand so you understand exactly what hurts and under what conditions. I am experiencing hip pain. It's in the front of my pelvis. I'm pretty sure I've just strained an adductor doing some really silly overhead squatting. I can stand, walk, run just fine. I can squat below parallel, unweighted, without pain. I can squat 100 kilograms without too much discomfort, but I experience some discomfort squatting ass to grass. So now that I've assessed my pain, I could communicate that to a medical professional if I was seriously worried. I'm not, you probably shouldn't be either. What we need to do is build strength and, equally as important, confidence in the injured site. Okay, so I can squat below parallel, I can do that with some weight. That's great, I can continue training. This is my new starting point. Forget whatever you were squatting before. We are starting again, because if you rush back to that previous PR, you're probably going to injure yourself again or more. So if you were squatting 150 kilograms and now that causes you pain, can you do 100 without pain? Can you do 50 without pain? Whatever you can, do that and then build up slowly like it's your first time. Load is the first variable we want to be playing with. Ideally, we'll be moving through the same movement as the one that gives you a jip, the same range of motion, but with a load that doesn't cause pain. So, first variable is load. Second variable is range of motion. For me, I am generally an ass to grass squatter, but I can't get all the way into the hole right now without pain. So I'm going to modify my range of motion. I can get below parallel. That counts. So what I'm going to do is squat light, ass to grass one session, and squat heavy below parallel the next session. Rotate between those two, building confidence and strength, and patiently and progressively increase load and range of motion. If you can't find a way to work pain-free with either of those two variables, the next thing would be movement variations. Because of my particular strain, I experience more pain in a toes out stance, but I can squat pain-free in a very narrow stance. So that would be my next move. I could just squat normally, but squat very narrow. It's not applicable to my injury, but if I had some back issues or something, I could try moving the barbell around. So I could do front squat or high bar or low bar or overhead, or I could even do a belt squat or a safety squat. So variations that are very similar. None of that works for me. I could try weighted step-ups or lunges or pistol squats, still a squat pattern, but not as similar. Basically, you want to find the most similar movement to the one that causes you an issue and do that. That's why I say stance first, bar position second, then other free weight variations, and then last, end of the line, a leg press, a machine variation. And that's basically it. You slowly add weight and range of motion as the body allows, strengthen the area to combat the issue and not weaken the area by avoiding the issue. So you need to focus on what you can do and be working to build on that. Patiently working towards what you could do and then blowing through that. Not be focused on what you can't do and heading for the chips. Anecdote time. I know a guy whose response to knee pain was to quit training and put on weight. So it's several years later and he now has more stress going through weaker knees. He's still in pain. Don't do that. And if that is you, it's never too late to get strong. And if you hear someone saying, oh man, I used to lift, but I blew out my hip, knee, back, shoulder, bothers me to this day. You'll see it'll catch up with you too one day. Please don't let that dickhead scare you or put you off training. If you get injured, don't be scared, do be positive, and treat it like any other part of training. You've got a bit that's weak, that you're trying to get strong. That's training. It is possible that in the worst case scenario, which really, really probably isn't you may have to endure some sort of discomfort. But as you get stronger, the amount that you could do pain-free will increase. There might still be a level that causes you pain, but anytime you're pushing your boundaries, there's probably going to be pain. You've worked out before, sometimes it's painful. Growth is painful. And a hard set is hard. And if you're frightened and expecting pain, you'll probably feel pain. So a positive mindset is key to avoiding that, really. And as you track your lifts, track your pain. If you air squat this week and it's a 6 out of 10, and you squat 20 kilograms next week and it's also 6 out of 10, you've improved your pain-free ability because you're doing more with the same level of pain. So whether your injury is acute and you just rolled your ankle, or it's a developing nagging pain that bothers you when you do something specific, the steps are exactly the same. Step 1, chill out. This is not the end of your beach body dreams. Step 2, assess the situation yourself. What can I do? What causes me considerable, unmanageable discomfort? And step 3, do what you can do until you can do more, and then do that, training. Now, if you're experiencing pain and you want to have a go at foam rolling or a massage gun or whatever, those things can temporarily reduce felt pain and relax a tight muscle if your injury is flexibility based, but it's not actually going to solve anything. They don't do anything in the long term. The long-term solution is always going to be make the antagonistic muscle that is taking over from this one stronger. It's also worth considering with a massage gun that if you have an actual significant muscle tear, hammering it with a Theragun is not going to give it that great environment to repair that we were talking about. Other things you can do, take a look at your nutrition. Was your injury severity aided by a lack of nutrients and or calories? i.e., are you cutting too hard? Is your diet dog shit? And are you expecting your body to act like it isn't? Now, don't use an injury as an excuse to bulk. More weight on anything dodgy is never a good idea. But if you're in a deep calorie deficit or you only eat foods wrapped in foil, maybe just come back up to maintenance for a little bit. Maybe get yourself a multivitamin. Go outside, eat something green. It's just advice. Well, I hope you found this useful. The main thing, again, is not to panic. Often the best thing to do is just let your body do the repair and stay as active as you can throughout. Once again, I'm just a lad trying to be useful. 0 qualifications in this area. 0 qualifications in any area, to be honest. But as I said, your mom still fancies me. So there's that. May your weights be heavy. May your injuries be few. And may you always get them gains. Be well.